Cindy from Stampin'Up and welcome to another card making session with me. In today's card making session, I am going to be having a little bit of a play with some, I've just gone completely blank, with some gold stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're going to play with some gold stuff, whatever its name is. Gold leafing, that's the word. We're going to play with some gold leafing. I'm going to be stepping up a card. So last week, if you watched my card tutorial, you would have seen I did a one sheet wonder card. I'm going to be taking some of those little strips and making another card with them, and then I'm going to be stepping it up using the gold leafing. I think that's what it's called. Okay, so if you haven't watched last week's card tutorial, I highly recommend you go and watch it. There should be a link right now at the top of this video. And if you haven't yet signed up to my newsletters, well, you better hurry, because there is going to be a very special brand new introduction. My business is called Stampin'Up, and that's a reason for that. And starting this week, I'm going to be including one of my favorite recipes that I have been making for donkey's years, and it's exclusively available to newsletter subscribers. So if you want to get in on my favorite recipes, click on the drop down box and sign up for my newsletter. Okay, shall we get over to my desk and start crafting? Okie dokes, so here we are, and this is the card that I want to share with you today. And interestingly, these are colors that I don't often work with. I'm not a big fan of yellow. I do work with it occasionally, which is ironic because the kitchen in our very first kitchen when we got married 30 years ago was bright yellow and full of Tupperware. But I just love this Fresh as a Daisy sweet. I love the stamps, I love the dies, so I thought it would be a good combination. And here's that gold stuff I was talking about, which is called, let's find it, Gilded Leafing. Oh my gosh, so I didn't even get that right the first time. Anyhow, that's what we're going to be working with, and we're going to be doing some embossing as well with the brand new embossing folder. So there is heaps of stuff happening here. I would put this card probably at an avid card. So if you're a beginner, by all means have a watch, be inspired, but don't be overwhelmed. If you are a beginner, you may want to have a look on my page. There is a Stamp Like a Pro beginner series that I have actually launched, and I go through that step by step. So I will drop the link for that below in the description if you are a beginner stamper. Okay, let's get started with this card. For the card base, you're going to need some Daffodil Delight in my usual 8 1/4 by 5.5 inches, scored at 4 1/8. And I use my bone folder to burnish that, and I'm going to set that to the side for now. I'm also going to need, I just want to make sure I've got the right size. I did bring it out. You're going to need a piece of basic white cardstock. Yep, there it is. Not that one, that's my inside. A piece of basic white cardstock at 4 inches by 5.5. That's 4 3/8 by 5 3/8, and we're going to emboss that with the brand new folder, and I need to go and grab that because I have everything but the embossing folder. Right, so I'm just bringing in my big boy because it needs the big wide embossing. So for that, you're going to need plate 1. You're going to need your basic white, and I've just brought the folder over. All right. The folder we're using is the brand new Exposed Brick 3D, and it's sort of, I know this is really close to the camera, it looks like that. For those of you that don't yet know how to work embossing folders, Stampin'Up conveniently provide a nice black line, and I always just teach my customers that come to class, line up the bottom of your cardstock with that line, close it, and then making sure you've got the closed hinge that goes on top. And then because it's a 3D folder, you're only going to use plate 4, and you're going to make a sandwich with that. And then you're just going to roll it through. Sorry, it's moving the camera, I know. Going to roll it through and catch it there. Right, let's move that to the side and release all my layers, hopefully without throwing everything down on the floor. And when you bring out your folder, it will look like this. I think it's, can you see that detail? Let's just put it on the yellow, maybe that'll help. Yes, no. So you've got an embossed and you've got a debossed side, and I want to use the side that's rougher. So I'm going to actually attach that. No, I'm not, because we're building everything on top of that. What I am going to do is I'm going to bring in some of those strips of cardstock that I cut off from my One Sheet Wonder last week. And remember, I had these pieces, which I still haven't made a card from, but that's okay. So these were the pieces. And I also had mentioned I couldn't find the old piece. Well, ta-da, here it is. And there's that piece that I didn't like initially, but I've actually been cutting these strips off from that. So don't throw things away if you're not sure you're going to be able to use them. So I just want to bring in my paper trimmer in here now, and I just want to make sure that the length that I've got for my pieces, because I'm going to be using 3, and I'm going to place the one there and the one there, but I think I'm going to trim these down because they're a bit chunkier. Right, let's take these down to 1/2, 3/4 of an inch. Oops, put my blouse in that. Actually, let me just use a post-it note to hold that down so that it doesn't go away on me. So I'm just holding that down. That's still not right. Right, 3/4 of an inch. Hold it down, and you can use that scrap again. That's that one. 3/4 of an inch. I might need to trim the length of that. Oops, wrong blade. Okay. And let's do this last one, 3/4 of an inch. All right, let's see. So I want to keep this blue sort of poking out there. So I might go, I think I'm going to go with that one there. And this blue I'm going to bring down, but down like there. Oh, that wasn't the blue, this blue. And then this one is going to come right to the bottom like that. And I might just trim off the extra. Okay, let's glue that. Silicone craft sheet. Move my paper trimmer out the way. Okay, glue that down. So of course your card, if you're going to be following the same idea as me, because the way your One Sheet Wonder looks, you're going to have a completely different look to mine, and my one is going to look completely different. This one is going to look oops, come this way. It's going to look completely different to the one I made over here as my sample card. But I like that. I like it that they're not the same. And let's bring that down over there. And I'm just going to use my paper snips. And I'm actually just going to cut, hopefully, a straight line. Okay, righto. and I'll move all of that out. So you've got 3 little pieces again, the paper that never stops giving, and you can use that again on another project if you so wish. Alright, let's do the daisies. So for these daisies, you're going to need some Daffodil Delight in the background, some basic white and Daffodil Delight, and I am going to use my mini cut and emboss machine for this. And I just want to move all my stuff. No, that's my card. Just want to move all of this out the way because it's going to get in the way. So I'm now looking for what I did with my mini cut and emboss machine that I honestly brought out, and I now can't find it. So let me just go and find my machine. Right, found my machine. It's one of those days. Right, plate 1, plate 2. And I'm going to use a piece of basic white. I'm going to use a plain piece, and the daisies dies look like this, and I'm using this one, which is a solid piece, and that is going to go down on my cardstock. And from previous videos I've mentioned, when we're working with the little mini, we need to create like an E shape. Alright, let me just, I often wonder why I use this one, because I have a back that doesn't like working with heavy things, so I seem to inflict this pain on myself. Okay, so that's the top layer. Now we need to do some, I'm just wanting to check, did I do that in the solids or did I add that on? I did that loose. Okay, it's funny, I'm looking at my own. You're going to need the background stamp, and you're going to need that one, and we're going to use Daffodil Delight for that. That looks like it's a bit too wide, so I'm just going to quickly cut this down to about 3.5. Hopefully that's going to be wide enough. Yep, cool. So on this Daffodil Delight paper cardstock, I'm going to put a solid background and the top of that one, and then we'll do the same for the, although I don't think that's going to work, so let's just do it bitsy. We'll just pop this one in, roll that through. See how it's not grabbing it now, because I needed it to be like that. I think it's going to grab it now. No, it's still not happy. Let's move it slightly forward and see if that will help. There we go. There we go. All right, let's go for it. Okay. Okay. So we've got the back of the big one, and we've got the front of the big one. It's interesting. Feels different to what it should feel. Just take that off carefully. Now we're going to put that away, and we're going to do the back of the middle one, and then the back of the smaller one as well. So I'll just pause that while I cut those and come back. Okay, I've cut all my pieces, and while I've got the die machine out, I just want to stamp these guys, and we'll do the heat, use the gold thingamajiggies, Gilded Leafing. So on the white, I'm just going to grab my stamp, and I'm using this stamp set. So I'll just grab that out. We're going to do the big one, and then I do believe I used the smaller one, and I am going to do that on with Daffodil Delight. Okay, so do that there. I'm just going to ink up my daffodil in Daffodil Delight. And that's not the one to use. It's the other one. It's the other one. It's the one with this one. So it's this one. So let's take that out. And if you've ever done this before, turn it over. So I'm glad I'm making these mistakes with you so that you can see we do them too. Okay. All right. Stamp. That's better. And now I'm going to do the little one, and hopefully I've will I have enough space? Let's just look. Right, let me just use my other scrap to be safe. Same story. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm looking for my burn folder. Now we're going to clean that up. And I just want to bring my paper. So we're going to clean this up. And I'm now going to use my Versamark. Before I do the Versamark, I'm just going to treat it like I normally would. So I'm just going to get rid of that mat. Actually, no, I'm not. Man, I'm ditzy today. Don't know what's going on with me. I think it's because we had a public holiday yesterday and my brain is just does that. It seems to think it's in a different day, and so it's doing its own thing. Okay, right, Versamark. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Let me come over here and make sure I'm actually getting it. So apologies if my head's in the window. In the camera. Stamping over. I'm using Versamark, so you can see there's a bit of a shine. And now I'm coming in with Versamark. Did I rub this one? Did I brush this one? I did it 2 seconds ago. I don't know, so I'm just doing it again. Versamark. Put it in the camera, Bernie. Stamping. This is probably a bit off to where it should be, but that's okay. Now, I'm going to use heat and stick powder. And I'm doing this exactly the same as I would do any other heat emboss. So let's start with the little one. Run it over. Okay. Run this over. Or spoon it over. It's probably the better way to describe the process. And I can see that I have stamped it skew, but it shouldn't really matter in the greater scheme of things. Now we're going to take that heat tool that we need. I'm just bending down. And we're going to set the glue. And it'll become translucent. You won't see anything other than it should start to shine, and hopefully the camera is picking this up for you. Okay, and we'll do the next one. Right, pop that away. And now we start with the fun. So this Gilded Leafing, when you open it up, it goes everywhere. So I've just nicked one of my Tupperwares. I'll probably get something from Kmart later today when I go out, or Warehouse, and just get another container because I do use this one. Take your piece of paper that's nice and sticky and stick it down. And now you're going to need, or I used a rough paintbrush. Do you see how it's stuck on there? That's great. And now you just use a paintbrush that's got a rough brush bristles. You don't want it too soft. And you're just going to rub off as much of that leafing as you can. Perfect. Now let's do the same for this one. See how they just fly up in the air? It's quite fun. Can you imagine if my 4-year-old granddaughter found this? I think she'd have a ball. Alright, okay. Rough this off. Probably a little bit more on this one that I wanted, so I'm going to rough that up. Get a bit more of that off. There's possibly a bit more in there that I had anticipated. And because I've gone a bit skew on the stamping, it has gone a bit skew too. So I'm just roughing that up where I don't want it. And I think that's about the length of what it's going to go. Okay, so that was gilded leafing. Fun, hey? Oops, there's one that's got left behind. Okay, so what you're going to now do is you're going to die cut these out using the border dies. So that one and the one that matches that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll put this card together. Okay, let's start putting this all together. So if you don't know how these Fresh as a Daisy dies work, you have this big one, and then you have these backgrounds, which really does actually help to offset the colors that you're using. So I'll just show you the one, and then I'll assemble it, because I'm just so aware this video is getting longer and longer and longer and longer. So what you're going to do is you're just going to poke out these holes. This, I'm going to cut this leaf off. I don't want this leaf in this one, so I'm taking that leaf out. This background goes, you'll see I use these 3 little leaves over here. They belong over there. Over there. I think that's the right one. She says, there we go. So that's, I find that's the easiest way to eyeball it. Look for those 3 little ones and then match it up accordingly. And then this is the top, and this one also matches up. Just want to find where these, I think it's these 3 little ones over here. That's right. So they go like that, and so you glue those together, which is what I'm going to do, and then I'll come back and show you how to assemble that. Before I finish this, I just want to show you, I actually glue the back of the white. So let me just show you this one, although I did say I wasn't going to take too much of your time. I just want to show you, oopsie, so aiming for those 3, I always glue the back of the white rather than the base that I'm putting it onto, because it's easier to put the glue on. It's, you know, it's that golden rule that you glue the thing you're putting onto the surface rather than gluing the receiving side. You glue the side that's being attached. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'll be back soon. Right, now that we've got those all done, I'm going to put dimensionals at the back and one on each flower. So just pop those on there, a couple on the big one, maybe 3, and you can just pull the release papers off. And now I'm positioning it, I'm just going to copy myself like this. Cool. this flower, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in there. Just a little bit of glue. It's going to tuck underneath there. And I've just noticed I didn't stamp this inside with wild wheat, so let me just quickly do that. The inside of that daisy, so I'm just going to quickly do that before I forget, and hopefully I don't boo-boo it. So that goes in there. I'm using wild wheat for that, and I'm just going to do the little, where is it, the little one. Cool. Alright, move the stems out the way, and this little guy is going to just come in with a few glue dots, and it's going to come. I want the gold to shine, so see how different excuse me, see how different excuse me, how different that is looking already. Now the last thing we just need to do is stamp that and cut it out of a circle, and that also comes from the sentiment, your friendship means everything to me. I'm going to stamp and die cut that. It's stamped in wild wheat, and then I want to show you how to do the gold. So that's all been done, and I actually think it wasn't done in wild wheat. My apologies, copper clay. Just realized that now, but it's too late. I'm not going to redo that. That's okay. We will just continue with putting this card together. The thread was done using the gold trim. So there's the gold trim. So that's the code. And I just took a little bit like that, and I just want to quickly show you what I did. I pulled the threads apart. I've just pulled them apart, and eventually they actually came loose. So let's just cut that in half. It does take a little bit of, there we go, there it's starting to come. So if you just pull them like that, and you'll see this material bit come out. You'll have all of this, and the same for here, and then I just grab them together. I just want to get this one going. So any ribbon that's metallic will have this little bit of tubing in it. So I grab them off. Can be quite messy. Let's just get that out the way. I grabbed them all together. It wasn't very, very pretty, like this. And I took a glue dot. I might even have taken two. I took a couple of glue dots, and I just shoved it underneath my flower. Like that, and then I stuck that underneath. So I just brought all of that together, stuck it underneath, and then I just cut the ribbon, the little bits that were looking like they were totally out of control, and the rest of them I just kept shoving them back under there and sticking it on. It's really, that's all there was to that. And then I just moved them across. So that guy, I'll put that back in. Okay, you get the idea. So now all you left to do is you really now just have to, there's a wild one going on here somewhere. You just have to, there it is. You just need to now glue this. Because it's embossed, you might find you may need to stick an adhesive on this that's a little bit stronger. Check the orientation of your card. Glue this on. And then if you want, you can decorate your liner pop that in, and there you have it. So let's just clean up everything. That's the original, that's the one I've done with you today. And as you can see, because the gold leafing, I believe, gilded, oh my gosh, am I going to get this right? Gilded leafing was done on different places in my flowers. The look is completely different, but I still absolutely adore it. So I would love to hear if you've given gilded leafing a go, and if you've got any tips or techniques that you'd love to share, pop those in the comment below. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter if you want to get some awesome recipes that have been in my family for many decades. And also, if you are watching this and you are like, what the heck was she talking about, and you are still relatively new to stamping, click on the link below and get my online tutorial that I have now launched, Stamp Like a Pro series. All right, remember guys, until we meet again, to stamp, eat, sleep and repeat, and I'll catch you next week.